Alright, we're going to do some stick form today. So before we do that, does anyone have questions about something from the Tai Chi form, something that they're working on? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, let's do some. We'll warm up just a little bit. We can use the stick to warm up as well. Allow your feet to touch, and then bring the head top up. Relax your shoulders. Relax your tailbone. Breathing. Bring your hands together in the center. Take a deep breath. And while you're here, feel all the points of your feet on the ground. And then like one central piece of energy coming up the top, let everything else relax around that center. Relax your shoulders. Relax the muscles on your legs. Feel the weight of your arms, your forearms. Connect the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and it's as if the tongue is a supporting member, so pushing upwards, you have the internal feeling of the energy pushing upwards as well. And then relax. Let's actually do a little bit of breathing. So inhale. And exhale. So make it a stretch. Reach your fingertips all the way to the extent in all directions. On the exhale, when we're here, is fine. But when you inhale, as if the power is going outwards in a ray towards the end of your fingertips to stretch all the way. And exhale. Do one more. Take your time. Make it the longest, most relaxed breath of the whole week so far. And after you exhale, bring everything back to the center. Bring your hands back to the center. Bring your mind back into the Dantian. And then relax. If you have a longer stick, we can use this to warm up. If not, the shorter stick, when we're doing, you can do one exercise to stretch with the shorter one. With the longer one, you can take this and do this kind of turning. Just like when we do this exercise here, bringing everything to the front, you can use the stick turning this way. With the smaller stick, we can use it to warm up. First, if you pin it against the back of your head top and feel it in the back of your neck, and then you can use that as a guide, so keep your chin tucked. And then start walking your fingers, walking your hands towards each other. You'll start to feel the stretch in your shoulders, in your arms. Keep going, keep going. If you can get your fingertips to touch, if you can lock them together, that's great. This is, for those of you practicing yoga, this is the upper body for Gomukhasana, the cow face, right? And then once you get there, relax for a second, and then change. So let your arms unwind, and then the other hand, take the stick, reach it over, make sure that your neck and back are straight, and then put the other arm underneath, and then begin walking your fingertips, walking your hands, the stick between the hands. You'll notice one side is much, much easier to do than the other side. That's okay. So, coming back to the center, try to let everything relax into place. And then breathing deep, let go of the lower hand, and the upper hand will naturally unwind. So you can use that as a stretch. This with the shorter stick as well. If you get it above, at least above your shoulder blades, the stick is good for, in addition to martial arts, it's good for massage. So if you have enough width on your stick, you can get both of the top of your shoulder blades at the same time just by pulling down on it. I'm not sure what you can see, so I'll get closer to the camera. But make sure that your spine isn't rounded. Don't clip your vertebrae. Don't hit your spinal column. If you have the even shorter stick, I know some people working with something like ruler at home, even shorter one. You can do one side, just doing the side of the neck, and then pulling down. So remember, when we do any of this kind of work with the stick, like you're dragging downwards, try not to hit your spine or your neck, your backbone. And then if you're holding like this, we can keep the feet parallel, and then just turning. So like you want to get your wrist and your elbow underneath your chin. So keep your chin facing forward. So this is just like when we do the swing hands exercise, except here we can lock the shoulders. So keep your hips and lower body in place. Remember to breathe. Good workout. Next, we're going to bend a little bit at the waist. So push the tailbone back and away. You can use the stick as a folding point, and then relax. So with the stick in place, imagine the stick is going upwards, like it's something over which you can fold your structure. Grip the ground. When you're ready, unrolling, you're going to hold on to make sure you catch the stick so it doesn't fall. You can bring it all the way up if you like, and then relax. We're going to do that one more time. So the same thing, pushing the stick here, grip the ground, and then once the stick is in place, see if you can use it to act as a supporting beam at which you can fold your structure over. Remember to breathe deep, and then when you're ready, standing up. For the legs, we're going to use the stick as well. The same thing when we do this type of balancing exercise. But now instead of having to hit it, we're going to use the stick. How many know the trick from school where you use the sort of, it's a trick you can do with the pencil to make it look like it's made of rubber, right? This is what bored kids in school do, right? If you get it right. Anyway, we want to use the same principle, the same idea of the hand floating to hit the back of the leg. So, just like we do the regular stretch, You can use this to support if I get on camera. And then using the stick, use as little effort as possible. And then tapping all up and down the back of the leg. Get to the back of the foot, the heel, the calf. Remember to breathe. And then change on the other side. So shift back, maintain your balance, and then using the stick. And then when you're ready, push forward, stand up. Yeah, by the way, try this one. If you have some shoes or slippers, hit the bottom of your feet. Even if you take your slippers off, you can do it with your socks on. Same kind of thing to get the material to expand. We're going to continue doing BIAN because this is a good and popular stick technique. And also, seems like everyone here has some type of stick to use, so this is good. I'm going to be switching back and forth between the smaller hand-size stick and the larger full-size BIAN. I may switch to an even different. I have another one that I like to use, which is even shorter yet. But this stick technique, according to Master Guo Nai Hui, the guy that taught this, the master that taught this, he said the BIAN, this stick techniques can work for even a knife, small, short weapon, all the way up to a long weapon. I don't know that they work with a spear because they require this turning of the wrist. And so spear, maybe, if you have a long time to be able to turn the whole weapon. So let's go back from the beginning, and then we're going to look at the next movement right away. We'll review from the beginning just a few times. So from the salute, we have a ready stance, and then the first thing we're doing out the gate is blocking. And then casting over the shoulder, recoil, flip into the elbow. Let's do that again. I'll be closer to the camera so that when I resolve. So from here, the salute, we have a ready, block, hit, recoil, flip. Let's do that again. Ready, block, long hit, recoil, flipping power, turn. So let's go back over the power for number 3. If you're holding your stick and you have right hand, left hand, one hand is up and down, right? We talked about yin and yang theory. And you just turn that stick 180 so that the far hand ends up in the elbow this way. And then go back and flip, right? So this is and this other hand can move. We can even do the power without it, but when we're holding it, right? So this is going into the elbow here. So now we would say these hands are wound, and then what we're going to do is unwind them. So if we're holding here, we're going to unwind. This hand opens and turns over. Now I have both hands facing outwards, right? My thumbs are facing each other. And I'm going to take that whole shape and turn it on a circle to the left side. And then I'm going to bring my hands together. So what is this? If I use a larger stick so it's more clear to see. By the way, everybody's stick has a yin and a yang. One side is heavier and thicker than the other side, right? Every stick, unless it's been machined to be perfect, to be perfectly symmetrical. So in the BIAN form, we use that difference. This side has a certain weight and value, and then this side also. So you can see this side is thicker. Not by much, but we use that technique we use it for a lot of times the smaller side for poking and the heavier side for clubbing. But let's go back to the beginning. We have the ready stance, the block, cast, recoil, flip. And then from here, I'm turning my palms so that the thumbs are facing each other, and then stepping forward and turning the circle. So this movement, once I get to here, right? By the way, this movement here, just like if you have a broom and you're sweeping, and then you take your lower hand, right, and you turn it up, and you take your upper hand and you fold it down, right, this way. So just like you're sweeping the floor, this, and then watch. Nasty, right? So here, so let's say the power is already this way. The next one is unwinding there. So if I've done this, the next one is turning to hit here. Let's go through it in slow motion. So we've just done the recoil on this side, and the palms, the thumbs both facing up. And then when we turn, it's here. So we're going to start this rotation. We want to basically start the stick turning to land in a smash on this side. So once it unwinds, we free this palm so that it can turn freely around it. Remember, the first class we said getting the feeling from moving your hand around the stick so that it can move freely. And now the palms are both facing this direction, and I'm going to actually slide this hand to the end to waba. And then as I turn, this hand is also going to slide to add to the power to smash, right? The name for this one, by the way, I don't know all the names for these, and these don't have clever names like Tai Chi. The names for these are the action that they are, and I know the name for this one is called smash, za. So, za, za. Let's find out what that is. If we go, let's see, from this side to this side, the smash is, let's go from the beginning. We have ready, block, hit, recoil, flip up into the elbow, and now turn the palms, step forward, smash. Right? From another view, from a side view, once I flipped up to the corner this way, I unwind the stick, turn it over, and smash. And by the way, the posture, just like anything else, we don't want the knee to go in front of the toe for this one. And the same thing, to maintain the correct Tai Chi structure, we don't want to turn this way. We may, in application, when we're doing the form, we want to try to keep the perfect Tai Chi form. But in application, we may launch forward. So if I have this type of situation where it's flipped here, and then my target is way over there, I can step forward. I can actually reach way further forward. So the stick gives us quite an advantage. If it's here, we have a long distance to hit. Even if it's the shorter one, right? We're using this as a small weapon. This first thing, this is the tucking to the elbow, right here. You get the power of a lever, right? Very powerful mechanism. So if I'm sweeping, I have this one. The next one is the same. I turn my left palm over, and then I'm turning the circle here. So it's up. Did we talk about the balsa wood airplanes that have rubber band propeller. Basically, we wind the propeller in one direction underneath. And actually that winding gives us power, right? If we turn like this, that wind here gives us power in one direction. And then essentially we're going to unwind it and smash it. Tika, that's correct. That looks right. Question, Mark. Sorry, one more time.
It looks like the first move's a block because of the angle it comes with, and then the next move's a strike as it comes down.
Yeah, so to review the first couple of movements, let's actually do that. I'm going to turn in a couple of different directions so that you can see. So the first one, this is a ready stance, and you can think of it as a block, right? If I'm going from here, the first thing is the most basic whip is turning the wrist this way, right? So here. And then this next one is, remember, we're practicing moving the hands along the surface of the stick. So when I'm facing the camera, if my power's going this way, I am turning this wrist this way, but I'm also assisting both guiding and throwing power by sliding this hand across for this block. And where does it end? On the gate, right at the gate. Right? So the block, if I'm facing my camera and I'm in the center, right, this way, right towards the center of the camera, I want to block and avoid the center, no longer in the center line, right? So however far I turn, and this hand, the end product, you can think of it just like holding the stick, like you're carrying something delicate here. So we have this swipe, right? This hand is sliding along. Even if it's a short stick, it makes much more sense on the longer stick because I have a lot longer area to slide, right? You can see without having to move the pivot, I can throw around that pivot, this one here. And so now I'm already set up just like we said with the other one. I can close this way. So here. And then for the next one, the same thing. I'm going to cast it like a fishing line. So my wrist is turning and the other hand is pushing. And this is, my target's over there, right? And so I can block way out to here and bring my weapon back and cast right here. And then unwind. So we're essentially winding the arms here, unwinding them here. We slide back, wind, unwind. What's the next one? Pull this way. Okay, question, go ahead. I'm listening. All right, you got it. So let's try to get through the next two, right? So everyone feels pretty good about the next one is going from elbow to smash. And so then from the smash, we're going to do this next one is up cutting power like this. And so this is a place where the short stick, right, has a different kind of speed advantage over the longer stick. So from the beginning, if I'm facing this direction, we have the salute, ready, block, cast, recoil, flip, and then turning, this is smash, and the next one is I slide this hand up, and then my hand and foot coming up this way. I'm off camera. This way. So for the next one, if you hold your stick like this, if you have your right hand and you grab the stick upside down, sort of like this, and then you take the other hand and you pull it, just keeping this hand in place like a lever and this hand pulling back here. The idea is this. But we're going to add the full body motion into it. So after we have here, we have the smash. The next one is I slide my hand 3/4 of the staff, 3/4 of the stick. And then when I step forward, this other hand has a swinging motion, just like a Tai Chi. And they're going to meet at the top. So when this one gets to the top, the other one's rotation is going to come in right behind it and end up clipping the top of that bar to send the power forward. So all of these tricks, you're going to see two powers, a main striking power and a smaller striking power. This goes in line with the Tai Chi idea of the big wheel and the smaller wheel. The big wheel here is this one. We have this big, by the way, these techniques, they also working with a sword. So in addition to stick forms, this one later we'll analyze for sword form. So this is a Miao Dao. This is a very large, heavy sword, right? And so the idea is this one slicing up, right? Pretty good, right? There's a large metal blade, but then we can also add this other movement. So we get this secondary slice, big wheel, small wheel, right? What does it look like with power? If you're just letting this thing go here, pull. And here, you can see this is comes up and then pulling the handle this way. This actually, for this one, I like to use the sword because you can think of this, the same thing, 75% grip, right? It's the same as if I'm holding the stick of the Miao Dao. And this is coming up to the center. So if my gate here is going towards the camera, this first one, center. And then this one also is coming up to the center and it's going here. And so this movement, when it comes up, the same thing. Just like we said earlier, the first one, from the movement from when we block, right? The first movement. We said this hand is throwing, and then it comes across this way. The same. This hand, we can just use it to pull this way to get the power, but you can use your whole forearm to cover and also get the same movement. You see how my whole upper body is incorporated in that adding to the power, right? So it should be a 1-2 hit, right? You can have the power hit all at once, or you can have it be 1-2. I can hit here and then hit again this way, right? So hitting with the upper end and then hitting with the lower end. Or it can be all at once, right? Pop. So, going back from the beginning, from the salute, is we're ready. We block, cast, recoil, flip, smash. Here I've changed my grip to the 70%, 75% mark. And now when I step forward, pulling all of this up, I'm still looking forward. So this is coming up to the center this way, right? And what's the purpose in martial arts? If you have your opponent is standing in front of you, and even if it's not the long blade, right? Even if we use a smaller blade, we have a saber. Right? We can use this kind of shorter, like a long knife, right? The same thing. This is cutting their center. Here, we come up the middle. And then this extra hand adds a little bit of extra zing to the thing, right? So it goes up, 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 up. And then also remember, keep this round and don't let your gate open by opening too much this way, because your opponent also has a stick and a sword. So if I'm, especially with the shorter weapon, longer weapon is less of a worry, especially the Miao Dao, right? This one, my gate is naturally closed because of the length of the weapon. So when you have the shorter one, right, something like this, only coming to where your dantian is protected. Don't go too high this way, right? Even if you want to hit their face or hit the weapon upwards, you can see here, right, if I want to hit the bottom of this, I can hit this all the way vertical by relaxing this wrist. So What was the two that we just worked on? If it's flipped into the elbow, we have smash, and then this next one is cut upwards. And that cut upwards goes to the center. Right? And you can add as much flick. By the way, these techniques, when we talk about this movement where it comes up here, you can choose how much extra flip to put on the end of the technique. If you have a blade and your opponent is exposed, you might just get to here, right? This forearm and hand bracing the stick this way, and my other hand holding, it's just a powerful slice. You don't necessarily have to add this extra little widget. You can if you need to, right? It's especially with the stick, it's especially valuable. Hit, smash, right, for power. Before we continue, questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. Let's see what the next one is. I'm actually not sure in the routine, so it comes up. The next one is a fun one. So maybe more complex. Let's see what kind of time we have. Let's try it. From the beginning, if I use the shorter staff, I'm going to turn, swipe, cast, recoil, flip, smash, cut up, and the next one, I take the stick, I turn back, and then I'm going to turn the stick down. This one is called Zhuan, drilling, right? This is a cool one. This one you can use with a longer stick as well. So let me face the camera. You can just observe one time something. If I'm going from flip, smash, cut, the next one is I move my hand from the top to the bottom, and then I turn the stick, almost like the first one. We have this kind of block, right? This, like we're holding something here. And this is a spinning block this way. This is, you have an opponent is very close, right? If your stick is behind your hand and it comes across that way, it delivers so much power. It's like hitting a tree stump, right? Even if it's you don't need a large stick. So, from the smash, cut up, from here, turning, and I'm facing sideways, almost to the back, almost turning like I'm going to run away. And then I'm going to turn the stick. So I take my right hand up, like I'm digging to where my heel is. My heel and the end of the stick are pointing this way. I'm going to slide the stick in this hand as I go up to the corner, driving that way. Say what? Don't worry, we're going to practice a bunch. So, let's go from, if we're left hand, right hand, we're going to flip to do the smash. And then we're going to slide the hands to come up for the cut to the center. And now take your left hand, put it underneath, step back, and block. We're still looking north. Then next, I'm going to put my foot behind, right? I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. So if that's my north, like I'm driving this stick up in a spiral to end this way. So it goes from here, from this blocking, turn it over, right? It's a drilling movement and it goes to the center. So this one is good for if your opponent also has a weapon, both getting around their weapon and adding power. And this is the trick. So if I'm facing this direction, right, moving towards the camera, flip, smash, cut to the center, block, and then, by the way, remember this form is heavily influenced by the gate. So Zhuan goes from, just like the door frame, my gate is from my foot to my shoulder, to my head top to my shoulder and down. So like a big square. The block goes to the edge of my gate on this side, and then the drilling is lined up with the gate. It crosses the gate and is lined up with my gate on the other side. So just like in the Tai Chi, when we have the square step, you think of the graph paper, the grid, the checkerboard, whatever you like to think about, these straight lines that appear on either side of the structure, right? So this drilling, same thing with the smash, by the way. The elbow, this goes to the edge of my gate. And then when I smash, it's lined up with the edge of my gate. And then this one goes to my center, right? If anything, it would cross this way and my sword or my weapon would go across the gate here. And now the same thing, the next one, when I change, it goes to my gate on this side, and then drilling comes back up to the corner, top corner of the gate on that side, right? So let's do this. If you have your right hand, and you're holding the stick, and you have your left hand, and it's at your center in your dantian like this, you take this, and then like you're going to point with your left hand forward. And as you go to point, you're going to bring the other hand behind it. So you have your left hand, and it's going to point forward this way. But you're holding the stick. So, here. By the way, if you have, you can think about connecting the static hand with the inside of the arm this way. With the longer stick or the sword, right? Let's see what happens after we have the smash and we turn and we cut up. The next one, see, I can use the sword. I have to turn my hand to block, and then from here I use the tip of the sword like a spiraling drill bit that goes up to my opponent, right? So this feeling of getting up and around, moving up and around in that way. So the same thing, if I'm holding it with my right hand, my left hand is passive. I'm going to push both of them to the top left corner in front of my shoulder, this way. So, right, that's pretty good. That looks pretty good. Yep. And so, again, the same thing. If you play with timing, this is good for if you have an opponent that has a weapon that's right in front of you. You can actually turn this all the way over the weapon and come back. By the way, all of these techniques are sort of, they're both self-contained, and a lot of times they have a follow-up. Mostly the follow-up is very simple. Once you block, the opponent's weapon is out of the way, right? All you got to do is hit him. Just hit him one time. So let's go back from the beginning. We're ready. We block. Make it a nice block. And then casting right to the edge of the gate. And then recoil. And again, recoiling to the edge of my gate on the side. Flip to the elbow. And then turning the stick over to smash. Change the grip. Cut up to the center. And then just like the first movement, except we step back, make it a nice block. We're still moving forward to the north. So take your hands, drive the drill down along the gate, up the center, up along the side of the gate to the corner. And we're in like a chi-link-wu, this kind of step here. So this is like if we have a sword, once we block, right, there's an opponent in front of us, we block, and then coming in underneath, going up this way is the feeling. With the longer stick, let's go again. Before we continue, anyone have questions, thoughts, comments, ideas? This is a pretty fun stick form, so let's continue. So from here, first we block, we're ready. Sweep, cast, recoil, flip, smash, cut up, block, drill. this drilling power is turning. In fact, if you hold this hand sort of in front of the left shoulder, left hand in front of the left shoulder, and you turn this right hand underneath it. So my holding hand is static, the wrist is static, my hand is pretty relaxed, and I'm turning this hand underneath it. And now we're going to add, just like shooting a pole cue, right? But maybe not as, we're just holding it this way, we're not doing any sort of fancy grip, right? We're simply holding it this way. So this kind of shooting. And then we're going to combine those two, this spiral here, by turning around this, there's a center pivot. And then also the shooting. So shooting along the line, so spiral shoot. Spiral shoot. It really helps if you have something to hit. So Mark, if you can get to the gym with very little effort, you can hit very, very hard, getting all the way around the target and winding up. So like a corkscrew that comes down and around. Let's try it again. Wait, hang on a second. My speaker's off, so if you have questions, go ahead.
The footwork on it, without the hands?
Okay, so the footwork. By the way, remember, this style, the footwork, is referred to in the Mandarin as 7-star stepping, right? So if this camera will focus, it may be too small. But there's a carving of the Big Dipper on this staff, and that's meant to illustrate there's no set footwork. 7-star stepping means it changes randomly. So even the first movement, I'm gonna teach it in an organized fashion so that you can understand it. My teacher, Master Xiao Yin, he has a very canonized set of footwork. The idea is, even from the first movement, from the ready stance, if my opponent is in front of me this way, right, I may step back and block. I may step forward in the side to block, right? I may step to his outside to block. I may try to get all the way through his gate to block. There's no, the most important thing for the BIAN are the hand tricks. Now the power is coupled by the footwork. That's true, but there's the sort of three dynamics that Guo Nai Hui says is important: is the distance, the power, and the change, right? So we want to be able to cover a lot of distance, be able to strike very far, right? And the speed is being able to hit with power, right? Speed and power. And the change, a lot of times we go from being smash is very low, the next one very high, and the next one we sink back and we cover back, and then we move forward. So it's pretty dynamic. The footwork, not as important. Understanding the hand tricks, more important, because the hand tricks, if I'm stepping, or if I step, not important, right? But the power, being able to deliver the power in the same place, right? Whether I use my feet one way or whether I use my feet a different way. Does that make sense? Let's make a sort of, you can make a sort of rule of thumb based on what you think the movement is doing, if it should be moving forward or to the sides. By the way, another concept with this form is diagonal stepping. So if you imagine a diamond, it's always going to the corner, right? When we block, we don't want to go straight forward. We're always stepping to one corner, stepping to the other corner. So if I start facing from the center and I do the form zig, cast, zag, zig, even if I turn, zag, and then when I turn back, corner. That's the problem with using the long stick indoors. All right, where were we? Questions, thoughts. So the footwork. you can put it on a grid. Make it go into diagonals. Make it something that's, there is no set footwork. If you think 7-star footwork, my teacher also sometimes refers to it as flowing water step. There's no sort of form. Sometimes it may feel good to flip this in back when you step back. The power of my dantian sinking back as this unfolds creates a very powerful dynamic. But you may also step forward, going as my foot launches my center, which then launches this thing into place. The hand technique works for both. Defensive, block, hey, out of the way, and then hit. Or it's already there, hit, offensive. You can change the stepping. This is also true of the Tai Chi form. My teacher would say, when somebody would ask, they say, how do you know what is the correct response or the correct application of the Tai Chi posture? And it's what's happening in your mind. If you're dealing with somebody punching and you turn to step back this way and press, that's okay. You can use repulse the monkey for that technique. If in that moment when you're practicing you can visualize the movement accurately, and then the other thing that makes it correct is we're not turning this way. We can do that, right? You can reinvent. You can make your own style of martial arts, Kung Fu, even Tai Chi, call it Matrix Tai Chi, where we're turning, right? We want to be Keanu Reeves spinning in the Matrix, that's great. But if you keep the Tai Chi principles, the head top is up, the tailbone is sunk, the back is straight, there's San Tongbe, power going through the arms, the feet are working correctly, all the internal alignment, right? We can practice that all day. Stick form. The Tai Chi ideas, they apply, they'll make your BIAN that much better, but also not required. You don't have to, the BIAN doesn't have the requirements of it. I recommend practicing it. Just the same way when we talk about learning to practice Tai Chi is like writing. When you first practice writing, you get a big pencil, right? For kids, the motor skill isn't quite as refined, and you make characters. But then, by the time you're an adult and you have to go to the store, and they want you to sign something, right? And so you scribble it really quick. In the form, we practice lining everything up to the gate. But when there's something there to hit, it might get way outside the gate. By the time we're trying to strike through the target's already moving, and so we may look unaligned, but if we did the job, it's correct. So, yes, question, thought, comment.
The very last, after you dig, the very last, can you do that slowly?
This one.
Yeah, okay, so you try to like work your shoulder, right?
Yep. So think about for that, the name for this one, by the way, in the Mandarin is Zhuan. The romanization is Z-H-U-A-N. And the word Zhuan means drill or drilling. The same way if you have a power tool and you go to the wall and you zzz, right, you drill into the wall, this term is called Zhuan, is drill or drilling, right? So you can think of using both the hands to turn, right? Just like in Tai Chi, when we do grasp the sparrow's tail, right? If it's here, we do this catch before we ward off. So we have this turning between the hands. The same thing in the end for when we do lotus kick, this kind of turn, right? The same idea. We're here, and then we're turning, but this one also has, because it's drilling. And so when you get all three of those dynamics, the turning, the shooting, and the extension all at once, you'll find there's this point where all three of those power dynamics connect. And by the way, for the shorter stick, this is for the longer the stick becomes. Let's say I use a 6-foot staff, right? This is like a regular Tai Chi staff. There's not enough room to use the stick. So if I waba right to the edge, right, my hand is right at the very edge of the stick. When I'm here, when I'm drilling, this comes up into the armpit. If you do that with the smaller stick, you won't have the space. But if you see my hand and foot here, And this stick forms almost like two cones, right? My pivot point is here in the center, and it's turning like this. So if you do the squint test, imagine that it's turning in two cones, right? So around that central pivot, I'm turning. I'm here. And then also the wah-bah with the slide this way. Let's examine with the smaller stick, with the shorter stick. The same thing, right? If you bring this into the armpit, it's a different kind of power. That is still pretty powerful. But with this one, you can reach as well. So for that, by the way, with the shorter stick, you're going to have to find a balance between, you don't want it to get out of control, right? So you want to turn it to the, reaching to the right length. And what is the right length? Where you have the control here. So maybe just to the elbow. It depends on the length of the stick that you're using. Even shorter one here, right? I may turn it to both of my hands. I'm trying to get this power dynamic to the stick. Let's repeat one more time. We have just a minute left. So to review from the beginning: salute, ready, block, cast, recoil, flip, turn, and smash. Step up, cut up, back, block, stepping back with the heel first, drill to the corner. Next one is a hit. All right, let's call that good. It's 7 o'clock. So, by the way, Saturday we'll probably focus more on Tai Chi Saturday mornings, and then Sunday nights, Wednesday nights, that stuff we may do some more of this kind of stick work. By the way, with the stuff that we've practiced, this class should be online. There should be some other classes coming online soon. You can practice if you have a bag, if you have a tree, when you go out for a walk, if you take a small stick with you, if you go to the park, you can use a pine tree, palm tree, any kind of tree. Try the first 4. So from the ready, if you're here, like you have the sword and the scabbard, you have 1, and then cast is 2. When you recoil, you hit with the flipping into the elbow is 3, and then turn to smash is 4. If you bring this back to reset, turn the left palm over, you can start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, reset. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? You get the idea. If you get good at this, just the first 4 movements. If you're standing in front of somebody and you can do these first few movements, nobody's getting a hand anywhere near you without breaking some fingers, right? And the longer the stick, the more range that you have, and the less that you need to be concerned about the speed, because if you have the longer weapon, the walking stick, you have more power and you have more range, right? So if the opponent tries to enter the circle, you have more distance to protect yourself, and you don't have to worry about being as fast. Smaller stick, have to be a little faster. Can be just as dangerous. So, practice 1, 2, 3, 4. See what that combination feels like. Very powerful. By the way, sometimes when we practice a stick, one of the ways people setting the stick down is use their foot. You don't have to do anything like that. Just bring your feet together in the center. Bring your hands together. And then move your mind into the dantian. Take a second to breathe. Feel the energy in your palms. And imagine that energy occupying the space between your palms. And then there's a small gap between your thumbs, as if the energy moving between the thumbs into the center. the way to the Dantian, breathing deep, looking at your center. Take a second to smile at yourself. Breathing again internally, take a second. Take a moment for gratitude for yourself, to yourself. One long last deep breath. And that's it. By the way, be careful. Don't step on the stick, right? Leaving these things laying around can be very dangerous, so take very good care of yourself. You can use this later after we learn the stick form. We're going to practice all types of other. The BIAN, if it's measured correctly, can be used everything from a GPS step counter to a massage tool to many other different ideas. If you have questions, comments, call. By the way, Mark, if you're interested, if you email me, I have some videos of me doing this form. It's sort of a freestyle format, so you can watch that. You can review this video as well. Yeah.
Out on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, they're kind of buried. They're kind of back there. I think it's from the competition of September from 2 years ago. So you may have to dig around, but you should find some on there. And if you send me a reminder, either via text or email, I can get that to you.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Practice even a little bit every day will make things better. Practice the Tai Chi ideas as well. Have a great week. Call if you need anything. See you. Bye.